Yo guys, what's going on? Robert Warshack here, and I'll be going over the best decks to play or to hit legend or to rank up since the mini set. There are a ton of decks to play that are good. However, to sum it up, I think this does it really well. We played Hearthstone for 8 to 10 hours yesterday. We streamed it. We tested a bunch of new cards. We streamed 8 hours of Hearthstone today and played exactly one person with one new mini set card in their deck. For day one of a new release, that felt kind of bad. So like I said, I played a shit ton. I played with new decks, with new cards, and nobody else did besides one person over the course of 8 hours. So it was really hard to see what was good with the mini set and what people were playing and what was popular because no one touched it. So like I said, there are a ton of good decks to climb with, and a decent amount of them are fun. However, in regards to new mini set decks, that's going to take probably a little bit longer, or like I said, the balance change, which I mentioned even before when we were reviewing the mini set cards, that I told you the mini set wasn't going to make any impact. There was probably going to be maybe one card played in total, and then until we see buffs and nerfs of like what we have now, the mini set and the past expansion aren't good enough. They're just unplayable. So breaking down into what I would say are the newer best decks, Quest Warlock was seen at the last Hearthstone Masters Tour or Summer Championship, whatever you want to call it, gotten refined a lot, and Quest Warlock is, in my opinion, one of the best decks right now if played correctly. Some of the turns can get wacky. I know the deck looks wacky, but it has gone through a lot of refinement, and yeah, it is very, very, very good. It does a ton of damage, and it can basically completes the quest on turn anywhere from 3 to 5, then has the possibility of playing another quest with Pupil, and then on top of that, it has infinite gas. Like, you don't need Kill Jaden, you have infinite minions because of mass production, and you can keep drawing, sacrificing life, sacrificing the extra mass production, and then a lot of the times you're going to get the 5/3 that heals you, so you're healing to full every turn while continuing to create charge, taunt, and rush healing minions. So this deck, super refined. If you haven't seen it on ladder, I'm sure you will. The Horizon's Edge is a ton of damage and helps the fact that you're always going to be summoning minions with your quest location and then obviously killing them. There's a lot of like temporary stuff with the sketch artist to pull your Solarium, which with such a low curve in the deck with like Biome, Wisp, Cursed Catacombs, Glacial Shard, you're just going to be able to draw, spend 1 mana, draw 3, and if you have 2 or 3 extra mana, you're going to absolutely be cooking. It also runs the Corpse Sickle because you're going to be killing off so many minions and summoning so many of them. You have the ability to also go ahead and just every turn be corpse sickling for damage over the top, as well as clearing their board, as well as healing. So yeah, Quest Warlock, super good right now. Very, in my opinion, pretty fun deck to play if you haven't played it, and if you have the cards, I highly recommend. There's quite a few builds. If you don't have Kerrigan, that's okay. There's builds that run the can flag as well. There's a ton of different builds with this, and I'm sure this is just one. I just pulled these off of like the top 1,000 and best players who are playing them, along with the highest population of people that are playing them. So I mixed and matched based on what I thought the best list for you guys was. So yeah, Quest Warlock, actually very, very good right now. Heading on over to Elemental Mage, I don't think this deck is very good. However, I have lost against it a decent amount on ladder. It does a massive amount of damage. It always curves. It always has spells. So if you don't have a ton of healing in your deck, or you're not clearing the board basically every turn with this deck, or you don't have a way to generate health like warriors generate armor, and then like Death Knights generate a ton of extra life with leeches, this deck's going to be able to burn them down really quick. As you see, it caps out at 5 mana with the Solar Flare. Most of the time you're playing 0 for this anyway. A surprising card that is actually really good is these Windswept Page Turner. So this is a 4 mana 4/5. After you summon an elemental, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. This can go face. I did not know this worked with Blob of Tar. So if you have Blob of Tar out and then this out, and you kill the Blob of Tar, the 2 elementals it summons, like it breaks apart, you'll take 6 damage from that. So I thought that interaction was pretty cool. I know it doesn't look like there's a ton of draw in the deck, but it does run the new Conjured Bookkeeper, which is a death rattle, draw a spell, kindred, summon a copy of this. So you summon a 3 mana, basically 4/4 split across 2 bodies that allow you to draw 2 spells, with the spells being the Spontaneous Combustion, 2 mana, deal 4. You have Double Fireball, which is again 4 mana, deal 6, and then you also have the Solar Flare, which is a 0 mana, do 2 to everything on your opponent's side. So very aggro. This plays very similar to the previous Elemental Mage that we had in the past. past. However, this is a lot more fair and actually reasonable. It actually has a pretty good win rate, and if you like the elemental mage before, you'll like this. However, lamplighter obviously is not as broken as it was before, along with the elemental guy that increases your spell power for the elementals that are on board. That worked really well with the guy that splits apart, and then you were able to have 7 spell power minions on the board, and then you would just chunk them down with a bunch of spells. However, this deck doesn't really have that level of like, just if they had that, they kind of just won. This doesn't have that. However, if you really want to play the spell power guy, you absolutely can. Heading on over to Fyrakk Rogue. This is a very popular deck at top legend, and a lot of the best players in the game say this is one of the best decks in the game, if not the best deck in the game. It has a massive amount of tempo and a massive amount of mana cheat with stuff like the Sandbox Scoundrel, which allows your next card this turn to cost 3 less, but it has the Miniaturize, which gives you a 1 mana card that reduces the next card by 3, and then of course that's going to get Shadow Stepped, which is insanely powerful, which then makes it a 0 mana, discount the next card by 3, allowing them to play like Ziliax, Ysera, Fyrakk, Ashbane, or Dusi for a very low mana cost, giving them essentially infinite mana cheat and a lot of it very quickly. This is the version that runs Elise, which again gives the deck even more value and just more stuff to do. There's a lot of variations on this particular Fyrakk Rogue, whether you want to play Ashbane or you don't, whether you want to play Opu or even worth playing Elise. I've seen a lot of people run the Custom Enforcer because the enemy's cards that didn't start their deck cost 2 more in their hand, which is really powerful against certain matchups. So it really just depends what you're seeing. If you don't like this particular list, you can tweak it how you see fit. But this was just the most popular, highest win rate rogue list that I could pull up from the stats. But yeah, if you like rogue, you like tempo rogue, you like cheat mana, like doing a bunch of things with stuff and making your opponent mad, this deck does that very quickly. Also, just slamming Fyrakk on turn 6 and watching your opponent just go up into a blaze, whether it clears the board, summons a board full of minions, or draws you a shit ton of cards, that's always there. So yeah, rogue is always in a pretty good spot, it seems. Moving down to dummy warrior. I love that warrior is good right now. Unfortunately, I hate that it's too good. I have yet to ever play dummy warrior, but I definitely play against a lot of dummy warrior. And let me tell you, this deck can do an outstanding, like insane amount of damage super duper quick. So it revolves around this testing dummy, which is a 6 mana 4/8 taunt, death rattle, delay damage randomly split among all enemies. This in combination with cards to copy this or to kill it and then bring back copies of it are really good. So you run the Carnivorous Cube, which can be used on it. You run the Recommendecum that can be used on it, and then you use the Boom Wrench, which can be used on it, and then you have Mixologist, which the potion, if a testing dummy has died, you can do the resurrect somebody because there's not very many minions in this deck, which allows you to keep summoning again more testing dummies. To wrap it all up, you of course run the double Ken spill with the turtle. You run Ziliax with the poisonous, elusive lifesteal, divine shield, and rush. You run Boom because it brings back testing dummy and Ziliax, and then you run Umbra. Once you're basically out of steam and you've summoned all of your testing dummies, you're going to be able to trigger testing dummy 5 times at 8 damage a pop, which is 40 damage, which is a lot. In order to cheat this out, you run Park Scrapper, which is lose up to 5 armor. Your next mech costs that much less, which makes your testing dummy cost 1 mana. So on turn 4, you can go testing dummy, Recommendecum, or testing dummy weapon in order to be able to do 16 damage to your opponent. You also have the cheeky crazed alchemist in here. So if you go Chem Spill Tortola and your opponent doesn't do anything to it, you can crazed alchemist on your Tortola, flip the attack and defense, and then hit your opponent in the face for like 25 or even more than that, depending on how much health your Tortola has. This is definitely by far the most popular warrior deck. Oh, I forgot to even mention Elise, which is even more insane in the deck because if you get the copy with Elise, you can play, again, the testing dummy and then copy with the location to make another testing dummy. So it's just like a really annoying... Hello, dithers. It's just a really annoying warrior deck that spits out a massive amount of damage. It doesn't really remove your opponent's stuff with the normal control-like things, Shield Slam, Execute, Sprawls. It clears all of your opponent's minions by just testing dummy being resummoned and dying and resummoned and dying, or never dying and just being summoned, and then you also do the dying. So you like warrior and you like shooting testing dummy missiles, that's good. So we have the Aggro Paladin and Quest Paladin. I'm beginning, so at the higher ranks you'll see a lot more Aggro Paladin than you do Murloc Paladin. I saw a ton of Murloc Paladin on my way from Diamond 5 to Legend. About 25% of my games were Murloc Paladin, but magically once you hit around, I don't know, legend rank, anywhere between number 1 legend and like 4,000 5,000 legend, Murloc Paladin seemingly disappears because the good players aren't playing Murloc Paladin, but they are playing the Aggro Paladin. So take that as you will. If you like Paladin and you like winning games very quickly and your collection is fairly small, this is a very cheap, very powerful, hit legend quick deck, and then switch to a deck that hopefully allows your brains to use more than one brain cell. Moving, like I said, the Quest Paladin, this is again very cheap deck, very good, can hit legend fast. A lot of people play it at the lower ranks. Nobody's playing it at the higher ranks. Take that as you will. Again, one of my least favorite newer decks, and it only got better because of the new Fire Gill, which gives your other minions rush. There was basically no way for Murloc Paladin to come back on board once they had lost it, unless they had the Thief or a Tyrannogill, which also ripped a rush, or a Grunty. But now they have the ability to play a bunch of Murlocs and then play this to follow it up and then trade. So Murloc Paladin did get better. It was already pretty good in my opinion. It's just an annoying deck. Again, you don't see it at high legend. You really don't see it at legend at all, but you do see it a massive amount basically everywhere else in the game, which is where 99% of the other players are in this game. Not everybody is legend. The fact that it is so prominent between basically like plat and diamond 1 is quite annoying, and I feel bad for you guys who have to play against people playing Murloc Paladin all day. It is actually very sad. Moving on down to Team Demon Hunter, we actually have so many decks that are good right now. This is going to be the Pain Demon Hunter. I've seen this a lot. This is going to be the most popular Demon Hunter you're going to encounter. It runs the Kanye to be able to avoid taunts and just basically blow you out. This Ziliax is also super annoying. It's a 4-mana 5/7, which is just really insane on stats. At the end of your turn, deal 3 damage to your hero, but at the start of the turn, double this minion's attack. It is really hard to do 7 damage to a minion on turn 4, and if they hit you in the face for 10 damage Ziliax, you're going to lose that game. Like, you just lose. So be prepared to deal with Ziliax on turn 4, or be prepared to play Ziliax on turn 4. You also run the Thrill Seeker, which combos really well with Acupuncture, which is deal 4 damage to both heroes, and then you're able to burst your opponent down doing some very insane damage. You get to run the Living Flame because it pulls the Hot Coals out of your deck, which again, deal 2 damage to all enemies, which is decent clear in the early game. And if your hero took damage this turn, which of course you will because you Acupuncture or you do something like attack your weapon into something, you get the extra 1 damage from that. So yeah, very aggro Demon Hunter deck. Beats any slower. Oh my gosh, looters, what's going on? You need to go outside? You got big poopers? He's got big poopers. Very similar to the poopers that this does on your opponent if they do not have a huge amount of armor gain or healing or field clear, because this deck is going to run them down. All right, now moving down to the Beast Hunter. This is actually really surprising because this is the list that I had made a while ago, and there was 2 lists on HS Replay. There was one that had a ton of stats with a slightly, I think it was like 2 or 3% less win rate. Let me take a look right here. Yeah, here we go. So we have the Beast Hunter with the most popular at 60.5 with 47,000 games played. However, there's my version with a slightly better win rate with 480 games play. I opted to add in 1 Furious Fowls and 1 Ravasor instead of the 2, and only gone to 1 of the Shepherd's Crook because we already run the remote control. So out of lieu of just, I'm picking my own deck that's on HS Replay with a slightly higher win percentage, we have the Beast Hunter here. This deck is insane. It gets on the board very fast. It's hard to get off of it. It runs Jungle Gym, which takes advantage of beasts on the board. You run a lot of stuff that buffs your beasts. You run Patchwork Pals, which gives you Huffers that go into hand, and then from there you could play City Chief, or you play Supreme Dinomancy, which is going to buff the Huffers in hand, or Leok. You play them, you hit your opponents in the face. You play Workhorse or Mother Duck, fill up the board, follow it with RC Rampage. Again, they don't kill the RC Rampage. You do Supreme Dinomancy, you win the game. You need a little over-the-top damage that can get around taunts. Your Furious Fowls is what does this, because they can go face over taunts, no big deal. So yeah, Beast Hunter, quite insane. I'll link the videos if I have any to any of these. A lot of these I don't play because they're meta decks. However, like the Beast one here, I happened to play it like a month ago. It's still the same deck list, and it obviously is doing very well. So I will link that in the description below if you're interested in watching. Oh, and I almost forgot Protos Priest, another super popular deck, probably the most popular deck I actually play into. I almost actually forgot it. This card's just insane. Where is it? Resuscitate. Yeah, this is just resurrect a 1, 2, and 3 cost minion, give them reborn. As we know, they go catch of the day. Having rush, giving it reborn lets it trade. You have the Sentry, which is a lifesteal death rattle. Your Protoss minions cost 1 less this game, and then you can bring this back a bunch of times or copy it, and with reborn it makes it even more insane. And then your 3-drop is going to be the Void Ray, which is even more crazy because it has rush, Rush and Divine Shield, and then Reborn, and then it'll have Rush again with the Divine Shield. It's just really hard to deal with. This deck doesn't actually have any removal in regards to spells. It is all Rush minions that have Reborn, or you give them the ability to have Divine Shield and things of that nature. It has a ton of draw because of the Fishing Rod, which is going to pull through your catch of the day. If any of the sentries dies, it'll start pulling the Void Rays. It has a good amount of draw with stuff like the Grave Dawn and the Chrono Boost, which is going to find your Protoss cards to be able for them to die and be resurrected. And then your late game is the Mothership. Most of the time, this is so much value between the 4 Protoss minions that they get and the fact that you're discounting. I mean, I've seen Mothership at 0 mana. Generally, it's between 2 and 4 mana, which still, if they hit Colossus or Carrier or any of the rogue ones, it's just too much damage to deal with. So yeah, Protos Priest, in my opinion, still very good. I know there's quite a few versions of this deck. Some people like to run Endbringer Umbra to be able to trigger death rattles, whether you're hitting the Mothership or the Sentry. That's pretty good. I find that to be just a win more. If you have time to play Undra and your Mothership didn't win, and you have the ability to play Hallucination and then hit the Mothership as well, like there's things that you probably could have been doing better that game. I think Umbra's a way you can play the deck, but I think this version, or the version that I had posted a couple weeks ago with Tyrande and Moonwell, that I think is much more spicy and is much cooler than this, is the way to go. But yeah, this is the most meta list. Protos Priest, very good, and it is way too annoying and way too powerful for what the deck, just like the skill cap of this deck is. It was cool for a while because it was neat with Mothership and it wasn't really played a lot, but now it's like just way too good with this card in particular. This should be a 6 or 7 mana card, or we just like get rid of the word Reborn on here. But yeah, with that, unfortunately, I wish I could be giving you fresh new mini set decks, but that's where we're at right now. No one's playing them. I will have my mini set decks videos starting this evening. They'll be coming out after this video. I just wanted to cover the best decks first, and then we'll get into all the off meta stuff after that. So for those of you who are looking forward to the new stuff, between yesterday and today, we will be doing Quest Shaman, updated Dragon Warrior, Elemental Shaman, new Quest Mage, and the Ninja Rogue. So those will be my 5 upcoming decks where we play with the new mini set cards. But until then, here are the meta decks, and hopefully enjoy and get, I guess, ranks, because that's all we can do right now. So with that, I'm Robert Warshack, and happy whatever the hell day it is. How do I know when my spicy off-meta deck is cooking, or it's straight garbage? Hearthstone Deck Tracker gives me all the data I need to be able to find, track, create, and play with the worst possible decks I can to Legend each and every month. From matchup spreads to historical data, I can see where my off-meta decks stand in any meta. Features such as mulligan guides, remaining cards, and turn counters provide information which helps you make the best decision each turn. So if you want to be better than me, go on in the description below, hsreplay.net, give it a free download.
Isn't that right, bud? Hello, good boy. You downloaded FS Replay, didn't you?